to the entire audience that is participating with us today, you are actually listening to a Quality Horizon episode. And if you attended or know of the Quality Horizon, this is a virtual summit that we started in January this year, and the participation was so overwhelming, and the topics that we had in there were so fantastic that a lot of you reach out to us for us to continue doing this event, and we are going to continue doing it. However, we decided to do this in a seasonal way and also in multiple episodes. Instead of keeping you waiting every 6 months or every year for a new summit, we're going to do it monthly. Today, we're lucky to have Richard and Anjali here with us. Next month, we're going to have different guests and also participants from Katalon. But if you want to go back to the first session that we did in January, you are more than welcome to do so. Go to katalon.com/webinars/Quality Horizon 2024. You will be able to find in there the recordings of all the sessions. This was a back-to-back session that we did that day. It was like approximately 5 or 6 hours of amazing content that we did with our partners. So please go ahead and take a look at that. You won't regret it. It's a lot of cool information, a lot of cool and great information that we have in there for you. Now, with that being said, this session is for you. Please ask any questions that you may have. We are not going to share slides at all. This is a completely unscripted conversation that we're going to have. So if you have any questions, if there is anything that you would like to mention or for us to keep in consideration in the conversation, please let us know. So I see that the conversation is already started in the chat window. If you want to use the Q&A panel also in the Zoom interface to ask any questions, you may do so as well. Don't wait until the end. We have a Q&A session at the end, but don't wait until the end to put any questions that you may have. And also, if we don't get to your question, we will go ahead and also record your information and pass it to one of our team members so we can get an answer for you. So, well, let's go ahead and get it started. So today we're going to talk about TCOEs. We're going to talk about AI. We're going to talk about, obviously, quality assurance. And one of the things, and I want to put Alex in the spot because I know you have a very cool narrative on AI, but before we start with where is a testing today, before we set that baseline, and to the rest of the panelists, feel free to jump in and interrupt Alex anytime. What is going on in the world, Alex? I've talked to you in a podcast about a month and a half, and AI is moving incredibly fast, and I'm sure things have changed since then. But can you give us the quick rundown of what are we seeing lately in AI and QA?
Yeah, well, talk about putting me in the spot. That's how we kick it off, man. Thank you. Cool. Well, so again, thanks everybody for coming over. And as Lucio said, this is very unscripted by design. So hopefully we'll get to learn a lot, but also have some fun while doing it. Yeah, AI, it's been evolving daily. It's been crazy. And talking specifically, in the testing world, we've been seeing a lot of use cases being attempted by different organizations, right? Starting from the usual suspects in introducing more AI and generative AI in the test automation to obviously generate code. That's the kind of the typical use of AI in testing for now. But also, applying self-healing to those automated tests. That's something that's been AI has made that simpler to accomplish and easier to make that actually work. The self-healing actually work. Almost like bulletproofing, if you will, the script maintenance. But it's not perfect. Obviously, AI is not perfect, and I don't think any of us should expect it to be perfect, because when a human actually goes through those tasks, it's also not perfect. So It's just a matter of getting more comfortable with that mindset. The other use case that we're seeing a lot of people experiment is basically using natural language to create tests, be it manual tests or automated tests. So you can provide a set of instructions. You can type them as if you were, for example, click on, the submit button. You just type it in English, and then AI goes and translates that into whatever programming language that you use. And you don't have to worry about, UI elements or locators and that kind of stuff. So it does accelerate a little bit that creation process or that automation process. Um, but then also, instead of you typing it directly, you can pull that information from requirements documents or user stories, whatever, right? And then have AI translate those into tests. So help you do test design, help you do test creation, and help you do automation as well. And we're seeing evolution in different levels of success in companies attempting to do those things. And then, there's a few more. The test data generation obviously is a big one that AI is helping, generate synthetic data based on a, certain set of data that is shared. Performance testing, we're seeing a lot of, great use cases also in helping with correlation. For the folks in the performance testing world, know that correlation in performance testing is usually one of the biggest challenges, and AI is definitely helping the team members or performance engineers do that much more efficiently, faster. And there's a few more, but I'll kind of stop there. And one big thing that happened yesterday or before yesterday, not specifically in the testing world, but it's something certainly a lot of us are watching, is Anthropic launched Claude, I believe 3.5
Hmm.
Sonnet, the new one. And that basically is enabling the AI, or Claude in this case, to interact with the computer. So to use the computer, your computer, as if a human was using it. So it's no longer looking at, for example, if you're looking at a browser, and yeah, you can drive the browser with Selenium, for example, or Cypress, or any other automation tool. But it's this launch yesterday. It's in beta, of course, but it's supposed to look at the screen of the entire computer as a human, and then based on a set of instructions or a set of goals that you provide, the AI will figure out how to pull the information, how to use it, and how to deliver you the outcome that you're looking for. So be it automating a workflow, business workflow for you, where you pull data from different applications and you use it to, in an HR system, for example, or be it for, creating tests, for example. That's something we're taking a look at as well. But that's certainly a different evolution, or step evolution, if you will, from the iterative evolutions that we've been seeing over the last several months. So that's really exciting stuff, and we're keeping track of that.
I already can see a use case on that Anthropic thing of as soon as the boss walks in, shut down every browser page that should not be open, and open all the IDs that we're supposed to
There you
have
go.
open.
Yeah.
So, okay, joking aside, I want to take a moment to recognize some people that have shown in the chat: South Africa, India, US, Brazil, Venezuela. Saludos a toda mi gente de Venezuela. I'm Venezuelan as well, so I wanted to take that quick parenthesis. It touched my heart when I saw that mention in there. Alex, thank you so much for setting that baseline. I want to bring us back a little bit. Angeli, tell us a little bit about yourself, about what is it that you do. And I also want to put you on the spot because we've talked about, like, 2 years ago, GPT and all these models came out, and AI was going to solve hunger in the world. It was going to make everybody rich. It was going to make life easier for everybody. And you and Richard as well. Like, I believe you both faced this. The reality that you saw was possibly different, right? But let's, baby steps. Tell us what are your responsibilities. What do you do? with your team? And also, if you can tell us a little bit of how was your what your perception to this whole AI thing and how is affecting QA these days, especially in large organizations.
Mhm. No, thanks. Yeah, so I'm Anjali Chabra. I head the practice, what we refer to as next generation application development, maintenance, and quality engineering areas. We call it ADMS Next. So I head that practice globally for Tech Mahindra and based out of Dallas. See, again, in my view, when all this started, right, the whole Gen AI and when we at Tech Mahindra started looking at it, and I will restrict my conversation a little bit more towards the at least the SDLC side, the software development life cycle, where quality engineering is a big part of that. Uh, is is we knew that while it looks as if as you said that, oh, it will solve word hunger, and we have seen all this in past, even when the RPA came in, right, like
Hmm.
few years back. Oh, if we won't need any humans, everything will get automated, whether it is business process or IT process and all that. And we know the reality today, right, that there obviously it has given a much larger leap forward to the whole automation. We still there are still a lot of manual testers, functional testers that are there who do their day-to-day job. So similarly, when the whole Gen AI thing came in, we at least looked at it in a perspective of something that I refer to as low risk, high value use cases, right? And when I say, see, when this whole Gen AI thing started, one thing that was concerning everybody was around the whole security, like regulatory compliance, data, ethical aspect of Gen AI. How do we cover those? And considering there is no standardized regulation or governance yet put in around the Gen AI outputs. So we as
Hmm.
an organization, specifically serving so many customers and enterprises across the globe, we had to be very cautious to make sure that whatever use cases that we are picking up are what we define as low risk, high value use cases. And immediately, the top ones, which you can call low risk, high value, come in the quality engineering space. And Alex touched upon that, like whether it is using requirements or using wireframes to generate manual test cases or generate test automation scripts, utilize test data. Another very interesting use case we are working on is around the coverage analysis, looking at the code, understanding the code, and trying to see whether the current test cases are giving the right level of coverage to the code. So all that put together, uh, in the last, I would say almost 1 year, across the customers, the POCs and pilots, and at least 3 production implementations that we have done, one for a very large North American railroad, coupled with the large technology organizations. What we are seeing is that there is a great uh, uh, like acceptance on the use cases that do not necessarily touch the production data. A lot of customers are very willing, lot of enterprises are very willing to dabble into the test cases around the development engineering efficiency or quality engineering efficiency. And performance testing, definitely a very interesting area, whether we are identifying performance scenarios or whether we are identifying the right loads based on the historical code analysis, as well as some sort of LLM assisted type of analysis. All those use cases are being discussed. Some are being really implemented as pilots, and lot of use cases, specifically like requirement refinement, test case generation, test data generation, automation script generation. They are in production with a few of our very large customers. So the way I look at it, uh, whether it will solve word hunger or not, definitely on the quality engineering side, there are areas where we are seeing lot of efficiency improvement. In fact, we did a benchmarking with one of our customer recently. We are seeing up to 50% automation, test automation engineering efficiency improvement for Selenium-based, Python-based, Java-based test cases. But yes, and then there are legacy areas, then there are a lot of complex systems, then there are a lot of integrations. Where still there is SME involvement that is needed to validate whatever is being generated. Efficacy also is different depending upon different type of use cases that we are implementing. So 30% efficacy if I'm trying to generate a SQL based script versus 60 to 70% efficacy when I'm trying to generate like a Java Selenium WebDriver type of script. So there is those benchmarks that we are consistently creating. And yes, it's a continuous journey. It's a space I'm sure we all will keep exploring for next few years. So yeah, it's just the start.
Exciting times ahead. Thank you for sharing that. Now I want to pass the spotlight to Mr. Richard here. He has been quiet, and one of the things that I want to ask. So Richard and we had the opportunity to have I like it. I like to call it a discovery call prior to the webinar, and Ringo, I'm going to date you here, but this man has over 30 years of experience in the Q and the development and QA testing in the QA industry. And one of the things that I was telling Ringo was it is, and I've shared this with multiple people that I talked to. Those of us who were born before the 80s, there has been I think it's fantastic because we saw the Betamax getting created and died. We saw the VHS tape, we saw the cassette player and the DVD and the like all these cool things like come and go. And I imagine you also had the opportunity to see that evolution in development and testing of software. Can you give us in a couple of minutes like what how is that evolution? How was it for you? And now, how is it? What is the contrast of having AI put on top of all that today? So, if you don't mind walking us through how that journey looks like. And we got you on mute. If you want to open your mic, that would be fantastic. There you go.
Am I okay?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay. Hi everyone. I know Lucio is exposing my age here. Yeah, I guess I can say I've seen everything right at this point in time. With with 30 plus years actually with telecommunications, and I've been involved with testing since actually when I arrived here in the U.S. 1996. So probably one of the things that probably I can share is the evolution of testing a mobile device. Way back in 2011, we were tasked, as part of the Center of Excellence for with my former company AT&T. We were asked, challenge, how can we test a real mobile device remotely, just remotely, right? Because we have several testing organizations across globally. We have someone from India, from Manila, and we cannot send devices to everyone. Especially even here. With our development team. Mobile first is coming out, right? Everything is mobile. You need to have a form factor, all your application in mobile during that time. So we were challenged. What are we gonna do? So we look into some of the available tools application there that that can help support with that idea. We were able to come up with some rugged way of doing it, but we were able to start doing it. But that's not enough because there are other vendors available there who is doing much better than us. So that's where when we started actually doing, thinking about, Center of Excellence in testing. in mobile specifically. Actually, we were called Mobile Center of Excellence. So we integrated that with our system, and start implementing that. It's hard, even with those available tools out there. It's tough, to integrate with our security features, connecting with, between AT&T, and then the vendor, those kind of stuff. We actually try to do it in-house too. We have labs in Atlanta, we have labs in here in the West Coast, and we try to do that. At that time it was good enough, right? Good enough. But as we continue to develop and as we continue to grow with the different applications, and as the network comes in, you move from 3G to 5G now, right? Everything is becoming faster and faster, right? It's you really need to move and grow. So that's we always find ways to find a better tool out there, who can help us, right? Who is faster, to provide these capabilities for us. So we continue to do that. And now, talking about AI, right? You're talking about, some of the things that this AI can do. It's amazing. I think I was actually amazed, Alex. I was looking into that. When was that? That Atroscopic this morning, and I said,
Anthropic, yeah.
Anthropic. Wow! I said, amazing. That will do a lot. Instead of you um looking on those objects, right? Now, you're just looking on, and he can even look on the XY coordinates, right? It's gonna be amazing, right? It's not just because before, what I know is that there's two things to detect an image or an object in the display. It's either an object or an image base, right? Now you're talking about this, right? So it's the evolution is there. Um, it's amazing. I'm always amazed by the technology that's coming out. I was just on a conference yesterday and attending. It's actually about a church conference, but basically, we're talking about how AI can help us, right? And we're talking about amazing stuff that AI can do with in that with that space. So how much more with the QA testing, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just fascinated. I'm always fascinated with some of the, especially with the things that are happening, with this
Yeah.
space of QA testing.
One of the things that I want to ask Angeli, and this is something that Alex and I were discussing a few weeks ago, and
Mm-hmm.
jokingly I said AI is new, is
Mm-hmm.
different, and therefore it should be feared. But one of the things that I wanted to ask you, Angeli, is like, have you to what degree have you implemented AI in with your customers or your teams, and have you had any challenges doing this? Because I think so. It's great, and like Richard says, it's fascinating to see what it can do, but also this thing is coming at us like a bulldozer. Like, I mean, feature after feature after feature,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not going to deny it. I use GPT a lot, and I use Claude a lot, and
Mm-hmm.
I feel like every hour I'm getting a new feature, like, hey, go ahead and try this, or there is a new prompt, and I'm like, I just got familiar with the one that I was using a week ago. So, what have been the challenges that you've had, and how do you overcome those challenges when
Mm-hmm.
either implementing AI with your team or your customers or in your own processes?
Right. So, see, there are see when I look at it, there are see to we being in the services industry, right? IT services
Mm-hmm.
industry. There are two aspects, and you rightly covered, right? One is enabling our teams that are delivering their day-to-day work to the customers to understand the technology and understand how to utilize a lot of these new technologies, whether it is in terms of co-pilots or various tools and the accelerators that we are developing consistently, whether it is to improve the efficiency in the build phase or design phase or testing phase or even operations areas, application support, IT operations, etc. So we are consistently building on top of the foundation LLMs, as you may call them. So one is enabling our own teams, which I think is a much easier area to handle, where kind of ensuring that the teams understand that what are the best use cases for them and how they can utilize some of these tools and platforms that the organization is providing. Now, when it comes to implementing some of it on the customer side, again, and when I said easier, we had to go through a very stringent conversation with our security group, the ISG group within Tech Mahindra, to convince them that how the solutions and platforms that are being presented for the teams are highly secure, how we will ensure the right level of data masking. There will be not any proprietary information that will be going out of our network, and a lot of those type of things. There was a lot of back and forth, and the right level of security governance guidelines for our internal platforms that was put in place by our ISG. Now the challenge becomes twofold when we have to take some of these things into a customer environment. Now, a lot of our customers, and we are very sensitive to that, and I'm sure all of us are, even Katalon being a solution provider, you also have to be very careful when you are deploying a solution in customer environment around making sure that whatever are the regulatory compliance requirement of the customer domain and industry are taken care of, and we don't become in any reason for any sort of deviation from their regulatory and compliance guidelines.
Right.
So with LLM-based solutions and with AI-based solution, I would say the biggest, rather than challenge, I'll say that biggest hurdle to cross is bringing the security and regulatory compliance governance bodies in the enterprise, in the customer organization on board, making sure they give the clearance to some of these solutions that we are taking to the customer, and at the same time identifying the best use cases that will give the highest ROI. Right. So that is eventually, from the customer standpoint, from the enterprise standpoint, it is the return on investment that costs, that counts. Right. So having the right use cases that will give the quickest turnaround and the highest ROI, I think that is where we kind of go back and forth with the customer side, SMEs and things like that. Again, that's not a challenge. I would say that is a process that takes a little bit of time. And the last thing that I would highlight is we are also on the customer implementation or the enterprise implementation, having the right level of LLM selection. That itself sometimes is that process takes longer, because most of the enterprises right now are going through they are themselves defining their own LLM strategy. They are in a process of identifying what is the best fit solution for them. So that is a process that that takes time. And then I'll take an example, like a use case. Suppose there is a use case of story refinement, right? And story refinement means there is a agile story that we are trying to refine. Now consider that story comes from a banking and financial industry, where it's a simple story of I'm trying to open my account, I'm trying to check my balance, I'm trying to withdraw. So those are the stories. Now, if you try to refine this story with a standard LLM output, definitely based on the generic banking industry and all the knowledge, there will be a refined output that you will get. We have done prompt engineering, so there will be a structure to the output, and it will look very consistent, and it will have all the right elements to the story. Now, What is important is that when we are actually implementing story refinement use case for a customer, we are not just trying to use the prompts that we have written and the LLM, but we try to give the context of the enterprise to the output as well. And that is where the whole retrieval augmented generation concept comes in, where we have to take a lot of inputs and documents and requirements and test strategies, etc., from the customer environment and enrich the output with the right context from the enterprise or the customer environment. Now that is another, it's a big task, right? I don't want to just give a generic output to the user, but I want to give a output which is very contextual and it is enriched with their environment as well. So that is another area where we're obviously gathering that information, implementing the retrieval augmented generation. Those are some of the things that we are doing with our customers, and where they consider us their partners, and we are kind of working on that. So these are, I won't say challenges, but these are the activities that take time and a lot of brainstorming, a lot of collaboration. Yeah.
Yeah. So as I used to say it before, it was like a layer of complexity that adds to the task that you already have to. So keywords that I'm hearing from all of you: efficiency, speed. What is it? We want to do things faster, and also you mentioned a couple of things very interesting. Identify the use cases that you want to treat with this thing, and I think it goes back to a conversation with having with other audiences as well. On it is similar to automation, right? You cannot just go ahead and automate everything, and so it's the same thing with AI. You cannot just go ahead and dump AI on everything that you're trying to do.
Exactly.
I want to bring my attention back to Richard, because the point that I wanted to hear from you also is, so in all your years of experience, and also in all the things that you were able to observe in your previous organization, would you, and actually there is a question in the that came through to the chat, which I'm not going to read the whole thing, but at some point it says something in context to AI: will it be effective or challenging? And Richard, I want to ask you, in the activities that you were doing at your previous employer, and I believe you had a big team working with you. Say AI came, and would you have seen these as a tool that would have allowed you to be effective, or do you think it would have been more of a challenge?
So I think one of the things that that's probably we'll say definitely a challenge or a potential challenge in implementing AI, especially in a big company, telecoms company. Normally, telecoms company are huge, right? I'd say been to. So
Yeah.
one of the things that I will say is that we need to set realistic expectations, right? AI isn't a cure-all solution. We all agree on that one. However, given the complexity of modern QA processes, AI can help us, right? Navigate and manage, the different complexity, enabling more informed decision making. I think that is the key. This will help us in informed decision making. So AI's ability to break down those complexities into understandable insight is key, right? For example, tools like we have now Katalon Studio Assist, right? Can help streamline scripting by identifying inefficiencies. There are some inefficiencies, when we script, right? You guys need to be honest about that, right? I know. There are some missing elements on it, right? It will help us. It will practically guide us, and make us realize that oh, these are some stuff that we need to improve, right? So those are some of the things. What else? Definitely, when you start implementing it, you will have some more challenges, right? So so AI could significantly improve several areas. Definitely, we need to understand that, validating applications, optimizing scripting. The key is producing, actionable insights, and those kind of good stuff. These are areas where AI can actually reduce manual workload, right? And
Yeah.
again, improve accuracy and efficiency. That's what we're looking for. Angelique keeps mentioning ROI. That's always the important piece, right? What's the ROI? What can we gain out of this? Those are some of the things that we always hear and will always be hearing. Um, what else?
And what
With
one of the one
yeah,
of the
go ahead.
things, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Richard. One of the things that we have observed, and this is industry wide, is that there is we don't see the same level of AI adoption by testing teams as we see from development teams. And I want us to discuss that. Do you have an insight on why that may be? Angeli or Richard, based on what you have seen on on
Yeah, so
customers, or
see,
Richard, what you saw on
I,
your company?
Yeah, Angelique.
I,
Yeah.
I'll take a very interesting and just consider it as a humor as well. So
Mm-hmm.
uh, so if I write code to test my code, who will test the code that I have written to test my code?
Hey, let's take a moment to dissect what Angela just told us, because there is
Mind
some.
blown.
Oh
See,
man,
again, understand what I'm saying. See, right? We all know automation, right? AI is a newer thing, but we all know test automation. Now, uh, I have a very interesting, and this has been a conversation in some of my earlier discussions as well. When people used to say that, oh, there will not be any need of testers, everybody will go, everything will be automation and all that. So understand what I'm saying. If there is a code, a piece of code that tests another piece of code, who will test the code that is testing the piece of code that I'm trying to test? Exactly the same thing applies with AI, right? And that's where, exactly to Richard's point, right? Very, very nicely he has put. We have to look at AI as an enabler, as something that will assist. It is an assistance. And specifically, testing teams, quality teams will be slightly more cautious when using something like this technology, because they are the neck to choke if things go wrong. So
Yeah.
anyways, we all keep thinking AI. Eventually AI can go wrong, right? That is something that
Yeah.
is being built by humans. As any piece of code can go wrong, similarly AI can go wrong. And that's where we have to be a little bit more cautious. There are hallucinations, right? We are hearing so much about hallucinations in the LLM space. So those are the things. Who will catch that? That is the job of a quality engineer or a tester. So definitely testers will be much more cautious when they are trying to use AI to test something which has to go in production. So that's where I think, but again, as I said, we as engineering teams, we have to keep applying uh, that uh, intelligence to understand that what is the low risk, high value versus what is high risk, low value areas to apply something like AI. If it is something really very high risk, even if it has high value, I have to be cautious. If it is high risk, low value, just ignore. If it is low risk, high value, let's go on full swing on that. So that's my take on that. Sorry, it was a very
Oh
interesting
no.
question, so I had to jump.
What one? I'm sorry. It looks like Richard had something to bring on.
Yeah. So I just wanted to add, yeah, definitely I agree with Anjali. Based on my experience, and one of the major challenges we have, is misalignment between test development and testing, right? Between the development and testing roles, there's often a debate of the merits of shift left testing versus traditional approach shift left, meaning oh, you do everything, right? That includes on the development side. So So some of these misalignments with the different teams, handling same application. Based on my experience, we have some applications that are huge and being handled by different organizations. So now they have different ideas, right? Different ideas on how they do things. They need to even protect their own turf, because this is how we do it. So they have a tendency of implementing testing in their own preferences. It's either, we're advanced, we need to do shift left, or we're more confident in doing the traditional way, so we have to do it this way. So there's no cohesion, right? So those are some of the things I think. I just want to go back to your question, Lucio, about what's going on between the development and testing, right? Because I think that's happening, right?
Yeah.
That's happening between those two. So that's why when you implement AI, that's gonna be more problem, right? Because they have a different idea, whereas this group has a different idea on implementing uh stuff, right? Especially on testing. So just wanted to add that.
Anjali, are you seeing any use cases for AI where in testing where AI is where you don't believe is the right application for AI given the maturity that it has right now?
See, there are certain areas, see, specifically performance engineering. Definitely, there are a lot of use cases being discussed and being talked about, specifically around the right level of event traceability and correlations and things like that. Again, I'm not saying that uh, that that it is not applicable.
Mm-hmm.
I that is my personal belief, and with whatever I understand and couple of experiments that we are doing in this space, I feel that specifically something like where suppose there is a P1 performance issue and we are trying to triage that issue, the amount of context that is needed to actually do the right level of traceability and correlation is whether the again, we have to be very cautious that how much context has been given and how much of that RAG implementation, the retrieval augmented generation type of implementation, has actually been done there to be able to give the right guidance to the user that is trying to resolve that issue. Because without the context, a generic LLM can, instead of guiding, can misguide a engineer who's trying to resolve a critical issue or a critical defect. So those are the areas we have to be very cautious with, and that's where my point was, right? Like that high risk, low value.
Yeah.
So that's what. So because if a P1 issue is occurring because of a performance issue and I'm trying to do an event traceability, if the context is not right, if the LLM doesn't understand the context well, that can actually misguide the user that is trying to use a assisted feature, and actually like increase my mean time to resolution rather than decreasing it. And they can go in a loop, and then they realize, oh, by the way, the output was, oh, they did not have, the LLM did not have the right context. So that's a problem that we have to be. So that's again, as I said, based on the experience of the engineers, they have to be very cautious in how much they are relying versus when they are relying more on their ability to relate to the context.
Yeah, that's a great point there, Lucio. If you allow me, I love that,
of course, go.
because last year was a great year of experimentation, right, here at Katalon with AI and Gen AI specifically, and we released a lot of features and even products in alpha and beta states, and we've killed many of them since then because we've learned so much from our beta users' feedback. One of them was exactly what you mentioned, is the way we designed the feature was actually making the testing team less productive, because we designed it in a way that it would essentially take a requirement, for example, and then generate an automated test, right? In one shot, boom. And then what from a developer, if I was a developer, right? Developers are trying to create. They have the requirements, they look at it and they say, hey, I need to create this screen, or I need to create this API. If they see that API or that screen up and running, they're good. They move on to the next thing in the backlog, right? The testing team, when they look at something that they need to do, so for example, I told AI to create an automated script for testing this requirement. The testing team sees the script, runs the script, and they don't say, okay, I'm done, let me move on to the next thing. They'll look at the output of that creation, so the automated test, and they will test that, right?
Yeah.
They will validate that test to see if the script was created in the way that they would do it. It was created correctly. So the feature that we had created, we thought was amazing. You know, Gen AI is doing all the work and all that. And what happened is the team now is spending more time in test creation, automated test creation, because they're validating, they're testing the output of the large language model until they get confidence to move on and do the next thing. So as testers, we're all much more critical in anything that's put in front of us, right? It's what we are. Like it's it's our nature. That's why we're in the quality engineering space. So I think choosing the right use cases for testing using, AI is very key. And I think a lot of when we talk with many of our customers and in industry in general, there's this perception that, hey, why is AI not adopted as much as in other areas? You know, in testing is not adopted as much as in other areas. I think it's because the expectations that have been set for those other areas are not transposable, right? They're not realistic when thinking about testing. Just think about when if you have a banking application, your bank, right, and then somebody tells you, oh, this banking application is completely tested by AI, right? You are probably not going to be very happy to move money and transfer money to different places, put in your social security number. That, like, I don't know. We know that the maturity of the Gen AI is very high compared to 2 years ago, but it's still not that high. There's always room for improvement. And I think, what you mentioned, Anjali, was really, really interesting, that it's a process, right? You've been working with your customers or your clients together, partnering in developing those technologies, because everybody's learning. Tech managers learning, your partners, your clients are learning, the industry is learning. So I think the first thing all of us need to think again is, what is it realistic to expect from Gen AI use cases in testing? One of the things that one other thing that we learned is that use cases that go too far, so let's say from requirements to an automated test in one shot, is just too much to expect things to actually make improvements in productivity. What we've learned is it does help if you go step by step. So you insert AI, as you mentioned, you and Ringo mentioned, as an assistant for you as a tester to go through the process that you already go today, right? You are doing test design. Great. Now you have a partner in the AI to help you evaluate the requirement, make sure it's not as ambiguous, make sure it helps you understand the ambiguity. It helps you understand, okay, what are all the negative cases, the alternative cases, the positive cases? Am I missing anything, right? And interacting with the AI as if you're interacting with, your peer, right? And that will help you design the test much faster than if you were to do that by yourself. And then you create the test, same thing, and then you automate it, blah, blah, blah. So a big lesson here, because I was looking at some of the questions in the chat, is the way the questions are being asked is still as if AI was magical. Oh, it can do all these things. So you can go from here to here, and it's going to solve world hunger. Guys, technology is super advanced already, but it's not perfect. It's far from perfect. So we need to make sure we use it to where it actually adds value to you, and not increases or lowers your productivity. And so just keep that in mind as you're thinking where to use AI. And obviously, Ringo and Angeli had tremendous experience in feeling that along with their clients.
Yeah, I think I wanted to add on Alex. I think the key word there is trust. Can we trust, right? Can we trust AI now? I think you mentioned about step by step. I think we need to start trusting it step by step. We see, okay, it works here, then we can build some more on top of that, right? So I think trusting it, it's still a step by step process. It's not just you, but basically your whole organization need to trust it, right? Need to trust, the implementation of that, because there's a lot of things that you need to think about. Anjali mentioned about regulatory. Yeah, there's a lot of those. Can we trust? I guess the key is, can we trust the AI? What's being produced, is good, and is and efficient, and can help us instead of, right. So just want to make sure to
I,
mention that.
Yeah.
I'm
And
going to.
just one last point I wanted to
Yeah.
mention. You should just imagine uh, uh, a specific any industry where the IT team says that, oh, I have employed deployed AI solutions to my testing, and that has reduced the cost by 2 million for this release cycle or whatever. And then the business goes and says that, okay, now because you have used so much AI in your testing, I have to increase my user acceptance testing budget by 4 times because I don't trust what you are actually putting in production. It won't be of any use, right? So again, as exactly that whole trust word, right? And Richard raised a very interesting point that the entire organization has to trust, right? It's not just the dev team, it's not just the testing team, it's not just this team, that team, or SRE ops team. It's the entire enterprise has to put their trust in the use cases that are being selected for the ROI to be really there. Otherwise, yeah, we'll increase somewhere, we'll decrease somewhere, we will not reach. Yeah. So
I'm going to go ahead and throw a wrench there in the trust machine that we're building. Do we need to trust, or do we need to trust but verify as well? I think we're still at that early stage where we need to trust but verify, right? I mean, it will be a while before we can actually just go ahead and I think we were just talking more of an alignment. But I mean, the trust is there. I think. I mean, and I think Alex, you may agree, and all of you may agree with me that the human element cannot go away from any one of these implementations.
yeah.
So probably I'll switch that, Lucio, if you allow me. Probably instead of trust and verify first, and then you can trust, right?
There you
I
go.
want to verify first. I want to make sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just again one another interesting statement that I heard recently is we were all talking that, oh, testing is a commodity business now, development is a commodity business, support is and then there was a statement that everything can be a commodity except for the people that you bring on the table, right? So that's a very interesting thing, and it resonated with me so well that exactly all businesses can be okay. Yeah, testing services very commodity, this very commodity. Eventually, it all boils down to the people that are there that are making that happen. And I don't think so that that's going anywhere. That there will be a click of the button and poof, everything is done and it's in production. That's we are little far from there. Maybe sometime.
Again, I mean, that really resonates with me, Angeli, because like I said, last year, a lot of experimentation. And one of the biggest lessons learned is really to put the people at the center. So most of our what we did with most of the feedback was not to build new features based on that feedback, was really to spend a lot of time and invest a lot in the user experience. So working with UX designers to take the feedback from that we received on the use of AI, different use cases of AI in our products, to really make sure that the person that is interacting with the AI is feeling comfortable, is starting to gain the trust. How can we make that jump, right? Make that person start trusting it easier, and is chunking it in smaller pieces proves to be one of those strategies, and many others. But you're right, like the people at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how advanced technology is, these applications being built are going to be used by people. So,
Yep.
while that's happening, while we're building applications for people, people still need to have their hands in the validation, testing process, etc. And that's how you eventually gain the trust, right? So that really resonated with me as well.
Sure.
While we wrap it up, Angelia, let's start with you. Give me in 20 seconds, tell me, where do you think QA is going to be a year from now or 3 years from now because of AI?
I would just say that it will be much more efficient, and like the quality engineers will not just be testing systems, but they will also be validating now systems written by AI. So they'll be at the peak and center of the IT engineering lifecycle. So it's very exciting time for quality engineering.
Nice. Richard, what do you think?
Yeah, I think definitely testing people. Don't be afraid. You're not gonna lose your job because there's more. I think there's more that we were gonna be needed, right? Especially testing the LLM. There's a lot of things here. Yeah, it's exciting times. We're becoming more and more needed, especially with this new technology. I think the key is you need to be abreast with what's happening. Make sure that you know what's going on, especially with the realm of AI. This is coming. This is not going away. So yeah, just be there, be abreast, and we're gonna be okay.
Excellent. Thank you. Alex, how about you? 1 year or 3 years from now, AI will take over the world of QA, or where are we going to be?
No, I think 3 years from now we will have a lot more defined use cases where AI can and will be helping already by then, and I don't think we'll be looking at AI with the hope that it will remove any steps in the testing and validation processes. I think it'll be more, everybody will understand by then that it's really an assistant. It's really making us as human testers better at what we do, more efficient, faster. And I think the hope that someday we'll have just like, hey, AI, test this new feature, and then you move away. I think that's not going to be a reality at anytime soon, really. I think that's the wrong way to think about AI, at least in the testing space.
Thank you for sharing. And I want to call out, I believe the name is Ashish, that posted in the chat. This person said, those who adapt, embrace artificial intelligence and automation, and leverage technology will shape new opportunities, turn dreams into reality, and lead the way into a thriving future. And I like that sentence, because this person talks about those who adapt and embrace, and notice that agreeing with us, we're not saying those who let AI do all the work will turn dreams into everything. So, well, I want to be respectful of the time. Richard, thank you so much. Anjali, thank you so much for being here with us. And Alex, as always, a pleasure talking to you. To our audience, thank you so much for all your participation and all your questions. We launched a poll just now, and thank you so much for the feedback. As I mentioned before, this has been recorded. If you want to watch it on demand, it will be on katalon.com/webinars. And stay tuned for an invitation for the second episode of the Quality Horizon. Until then, everyone, have a wonderful day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.